Are emotions real? Let's talk about it. Hello, friends. What if I told you that emotions, sadness, happiness, fear, anxiety, disappointment, restlessness, are not actually real? My name is Dr. Jimmy Ardian, a psychiatrist, and welcome to this expert class. Understanding affect, the foundation of feelings. Let's begin by making an important distinction. First, we must separate two often confused concepts: affect and emotion. The term affect might sound unfamiliar, but it refers to the raw, physiological sensations we experience in response to certain stimuli. These can come from external sources, like seeing a tiger or a snake, or internal sources, such as thinking about what food to eat for dinner. Affect can be visualized using a four-quadrant model: pleasure versus unpleasure, arousal versus calmness. Picture this. Lying on a beach in Bali evokes calmness and pleasure. Dancing at a party brings both pleasure and arousal. On the other hand, a person crying quietly in their room after a breakup might be in a state of unpleasure and calmness. If someone throws a tantrum in a mall, they're likely experiencing unpleasure and arousal. Affect is something we are born with. When a baby cries or smiles, they are not displaying emotion in the complex sense. They are expressing affect. So what exactly is emotion? Now, let's move on to emotions. You've probably heard of Paul Ekman, a renowned psychologist whose research suggested that emotions are universal, shared by everyone, across all cultures, and expressed through similar facial expressions. For example, joy looks like this, fear looks like that, anger has its own signature look. Many people believe this theory, which is why bookstores are filled with titles on body language, treating emotion as if it has a biological fingerprint. If that were true, we should be able to pinpoint specific regions in the brain responsible for specific emotions. Fear, for example, has been linked to the amygdala, sadness to the limbic system. However, after decades, even centuries, of scientific investigation, researchers have failed to find consistent, universal emotional fingerprints in the brain. Here's why that matters. Imagine feeling fear. You might express it by running away, freezing, or even smiling. If your fear stems from seeing your intimidating boss walk into the room, there's no one-size-fits-all body language for fear. The variability is too vast. Interestingly, even individuals who have lost their amygdala due to damage or surgery can still experience fear. That's because other areas of the brain can compensate. This phenomenon is called neurodegeneration or neuroplasticity, where the brain reassigns functions. While not all brain regions can substitute for one another, some can. This proves that emotions don't reside in just one place or follow one pattern. Debunking emotional universality. So, if emotions don't have consistent fingerprints and aren't universally expressed, what are they? Are they illusions? Not quite, but they're certainly not fixed biological facts either. Think about it. Look at old photographs. You rarely see people smiling widely. Why? Because those exaggerated expressions we associate with happiness are largely shaped by culture. Smiling wasn't always the social norm it is today. Emotional expressions are social gestures, not universal truths. You might also hear about hormones like serotonin and endorphins being linked to emotions, serotonin to calmness, endorphins to excitement. While these hormones influence affective states, they don't define emotions. Serotonin can be released during many different activities, not just peaceful or joyful moments. Likewise, endorphins can surge from excitement, physical exertion, or even pain. A single word like happiness might represent a range of experiences, from receiving a paycheck to getting a romantic partner, or even seeing someone else suffer. The constructed nature of emotion. So what then are emotions? Let's entertain a different idea. What if emotions are constructed, not triggered? We often think, I saw a snake, so I felt afraid, assuming we are passive objects reacting to stimuli. But what if, instead, we are active participants in constructing that fear? Consider a child who grows up with a father who loves reptiles. The father frequently takes the child to car-free day events where reptile enthusiasts showcase exotic snakes. They pet the snakes, take photos with them, and treat them with affection. What emotion will this child likely feel towards snakes? Fear? Probably not. More likely, they'll feel fascination, excitement, maybe even joy. Unless a negative experience occurs, like getting bitten, the child's emotional response remains shaped by earlier experiences and social context. And even then, new experiences merely reshape the construction. They don't overwrite it in one fell swoop. The role of society and language in emotion. This shows that emotions are not just built from personal experiences but also from social interactions. It matters how a community or subculture, like a reptile enthusiast group, views snakes. It matters how our society teaches us to interpret certain experiences. Let me offer a relatable example. Have you ever eaten a bag of potato chips, say satato, and reached the last chip? You might feel several things. Guilt for finishing the bag, sadness that it's over, fear of gaining weight. What do we call this emotion? Let's call it satato-lessness. Now imagine sharing this emotion with a friend. Let's say Kania. You say, I'm experiencing satato-lessness. If she resonates with your story and has had similar experiences, suddenly this new emotion becomes real for both of you. Together, you can explore the full spectrum of it. Guilt, regret, satisfaction, joy. That's the power of language. Language enables us to construct and share emotional experiences. And that's what makes emotions real. Not real like a tree or a shirt, but real like money. A piece of paper printed with the face of a historical figure becomes money because we agree it has value. Likewise, emotions are real within the context of our shared social agreement. Conclusion. Who's in charge? You or your emotions? So, does that mean emotions aren't valid? Not at all. They are valid, but as social constructs, not biological absolutes. And this changes how we approach them. It means we shouldn't automatically validate every emotion we feel without first examining it. We must investigate. Is this emotion based on reality or on an old, outdated construction? Is it helping or hurting me? Remember, while sensations are real, affect is real, emotions require interpretation. And the good news? You are not merely a passive recipient of emotions. You are their creator. You are the architect of your emotional reality, whether you realize it or not.